before we get started, I have to give myself credit. I said I would have this uploaded today, and well, here we are at 11:56, October 1st. And I'm just now recording it because mom life, and just being or trying to be dedicated to my goals and intentions as well has kept me up for the past couple of nights when I should have been sleeping. If you are new here, which a lot of you are going to be because this is new for me, my name is Maddie, formerly known as Maddie Margarita on IG, and I'm finally jumping the YouTube gun after God knows how many times I have said, okay, I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna make my channel and I'm gonna vlog whatever I want to and just make memories with it. Okay, so here we go. My birth story that I've been telling you guys on Instagram that I've been dying to share with you, because something about this pregnancy and something I've worked on, as many of you know, I'm very open about therapy. So something I've worked about in therapy was not having a birth plan. So many people would ask me, what's your birth plan? What do you want to do? Are you for the epidural? Are you not for the epidural? And something about working in therapy has made me realize, or something about doing so, is that the anxiety I have, or we've realized this, my therapist and I, the anxiety I have is usually over things that I can control, not things that I can't control. I'm very aware of things that I can't control, but when it is something that's my choice or my in my hands, basically, Doobie, please stop. In my hands, I tend to latch onto it, and like what I say or what I think is just how it is. A lot of you know on IG that for the past 2 weeks I have been having trouble dilating. I have heard that, you know, it's normal. A lot of people don't dilate until their labor, but I just felt this pressure of like I needed to dilate because I just wanted him here, and those last couple of weeks of pregnancy really do feel like the longest weeks of the entire world. So the night before it happened, so Thursday night, I remember I was asking on IG, you know, people that have had a pregnancy, what did you do to get dilated? Just tell me whatever you did and I'll do my research and choose like what I want to do, what I don't want to do. So Thursday night, I was using the bouncy ball. That morning we went to breakfast, and I made sure to include pineapple and spicy food in my food. And Austin rubbed on my belly in the evening, and although I didn't know this, you know, told baby, it's so hard not to say his name yet, told baby, you know, it's okay to come. It's okay to come. I didn't know that at the time. So fast forward, I go to bed early that night. I usually go to bed around 2 a.m. and something just made me feel like tired, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna go lay down. It was around 11 p.m. I wake up around 6:30 in the morning, and I have cramps, but they're like extremely mild cramps. And really the only kind of Braxton Hicks I've been feeling are not even like what I would put on a pain level of taking medication for like your period, like that first day or whatever. It wasn't even to that point. So I haven't really thought like I was progressing at all through the you're about to go in labor stage. So anyway, 6:30 came along, and I was tossing and turning a little bit in bed, and out of nowhere I just felt like I peed myself. Now it wasn't like a super this is TMI, I guess, but I don't care. It wasn't a lot, but it definitely wasn't controlled by me. And I was like, well, that was weird. That couldn't have been my water. Like in movies it's like a ton of water and it's like so dramatic, whatever, and people can like, their water can break in the middle of the night. So, or I guess it was the morning, but so I text my best friend who's on the East Coast, and I knew she would be up with her time schedule, and she has 2 kids for herself. And I texted her and I was like, hey, I think my water broke, but I'm not even a centimeter dilated. Like I have had no progress. And I sent her a picture of my underwear, and I was like, what do you think? You know, she's having me smell it to see if it smells like pee. She's asking me about contractions, all these things. And I'm just sitting there on the toilet like, holy shit, it might be time. Like this might be time. And I don't even think I was nervous. I was just excited that last week, last week, I was just over it. You know, I was talking to him constantly, telling him it's okay to come whenever you want, but like, damn, I would love to see you here now in my arms. So she tells me to call my doctor. Turns out after I call my doctor that in fact she says, if you think it was your water, then yes, you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, but I haven't even lost like my mucus plug. Like, I haven't had any signs. You know, we've been talking about how I haven't had any signs that it was time. And she was like, oh, your mucus plug at this point does not matter. You know, you're 39 weeks pregnant, anything could happen. So I tell her also, like, I'm not having constant contractions, and the contractions I am having feel still like mild cramps. So I'm not sure what's going on. So fast forward, we get in the car, and you know, actually before we get in the car, you know, I'm packing my hospital bag, and Austin and I had joked around so many times of like, holy shit, what if we have one of those pregnancies where like your water does break in public and we aren't fucking prepared. So by being at home and it happening at 6:30 in the morning, you know, that's not my wake up time, but people are up at that time. So all of that was kind of weird to me, and you know, I wasn't even having any pain, so I just wasn't hurrying maybe the way I should have. Get in the car, and I can already sense that Austin doesn't really know how serious or how not serious I'm feeling to get to the hospital. And we're about like 35 minutes away now that we've moved. This wasn't the place to be around 7 o'clock in the morning on a weekday, especially not a Friday. So we end up taking the tollway, and he is speeding, but I was more so nervous because like we weren't really talking. I had previously told him that like when it was time for labor, I wanted to personally stay to myself as much as I could, and he was just like, hey, you asked me if you need anything, you know, I'm there, and just ask me. So that's kind of what we were doing. We were listening to the radio, I think, and he was flying. Like, if my life depended on it, we would have made it, absolutely made it. So anyway, we get to the hospital, we find parking, you know, there's a parking spot right there, super meant to be, and we walk in, and I have to do like the screening for COVID. And you know, the guy asked me, what are we doing there? And I casually say, well, I think my water broke, so my doctor came and told me to come here. And he just looks at me so confused, like, you're so calm. So this lady takes me upstairs immediately to get into a room, and in the room, basically they're just monitoring me, seeing if I'm dilated, which I was only a centimeter dilated, but hey, something. And everything starts to become so real. The moment I put that gown on, the moment they stuck the IVs in, the moment I'm signing paperwork, I'm gonna get emotional, and I don't know if I'm gonna cry. I'm a crier, but I don't know how I'm gonna be starting out on YouTube. But if you cry, I'm telling you, I'm there with you. This is one hell of a journey. This is a side note about freaking emotional tears, but it starts to just become really real. And Austin's kind of to himself on his phone and hanging out, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, what's gonna happen? When am I gonna have him? How long does it take? How long will he take? And my pregnancy like flashed before my eyes. I really realized, you know, that I wasn't one of those people that really enjoyed my pregnancy as some other people do. And I was more so just, I've always been excited to be my own person and have my baby with me versus having this individual inside of me, and it just being, in a way, it just kind of gave me anxiety. I don't know how to explain that, but anyway, things start becoming so real, you know, having the gown on and talking to a nurse about possibilities and the fact that I have O negative blood, and so just different things that I was just like, wow, this is about to happen. I'm about to have a baby, and you know, I'm gonna come out of this with a baby in my hand. And I'm emotional already. So anyway, over the time period that I was with that nurse, she basically just had to test to see if the fluid, whatever fluid it is that your water breaks, they just have to test and see if that's it in order to admit me into the hospital and actually start things however I want to start things. So they find out that it is after a doctor comes up and after she left, or right before she left, I was like, hey, you know, I know that takes a couple hours, but can I show you a picture and you tell me like if this looks like it would have been my water breaking? And she looks at the picture, and it's a picture of my underwear, and she was like, oh yeah, the test is gonna come back positive, you're having this baby tonight. And I was, or today, and I was just like, oh my God, like this is real, this is fucking real, I'm about to have a baby. By this point, they are hooking me up to the monitors, getting me set up. You know, baby boy is constantly kicking. He's been such a kicker ever since he was itty bitty on the ultrasound. So, you know, I'm hearing the echoes and I'm getting emotional, and everything's becoming like, what is he gonna look like? What is he really gonna look like? Because like, I can really think about this. He's gonna be here soon. And what is his cry gonna sound like? And all these things. I really didn't have any idea how long people like can possibly stay in the hospital without any progression towards the next stage of labor until it sort of started to happen to me. And I mean that in the sense that I wasn't dilating no matter what they did. And before they gave me pitocin, they gave me another medication that usually would be inserted vaginally, but because my water had already broken, I took orally. So I took that, and they tell me, you know, you have to take these every 3 hours, and after 2 of them we can give you the pitocin. So I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, oh crap, like I've got to lay here until 7 or 8 o'clock just to get pitocin. And not only that, but it could be even longer than that. So I'm getting like, I'm not even getting anxious, I'm just like excited, and I'm like a little kid on Christmas. Like I just want to get to that point of opening my present and getting my present and being able to enjoy my present. So a couple hours go by, and I really made it a point to just not even really look at my phone. At this point, I had already announced on IG that things were happening, and so I did start to get a lot of congratulations, and that made me so freaking excited, and it was so heartwarming to see so many well wishes and all these different things. So now I kind of have an idea that I am going to be waiting around 6 hours before anything real starts to happen. And I mean that in the sense that like they have to dilate me from 1 to 10A to I haven't had any real contractions yet. So I'm like, okay, well, where is the pain everybody's talking about? Where is all of these things that everybody talks about? That I was having contractions from like, I remember from 11 to 3 o'clock started to get pretty intense. And now I wasn't opposed to the epidural, but I did want to try to have a natural birth, and God hopingly if I had time to ask for an epidural when I needed it, that I could get it then, and if I didn't, that was just supposed to be the path I was supposed to go through. That's just how I was going about my birth plan when it came to an epidural. So after the contractions start getting pretty intense, you know, the worst thing that I had to deal with is that I get so hot so easily. Like, I swear I'm on menopause sometimes. I don't know what it is, but I get so hot so easily. And I wasn't really worried about nausea or shitting on myself. I mean, if I shit on myself, I shit on myself. But the heat or like just not being able to cool down is something that really just stresses me the fuck out. And I just wasn't excited for that side of everything. And so I even bought a fan off of Amazon, and all the nurses were saying how great it was, like to the point where through the contractions, when I would get hot, then there was a period of time where I would freeze, and I had to keep turning it off because the fan literally made it feel like Antarctica. But so through the contractions, I was doing okay for a while, and I solely dedicate that, or I totally think that that was because I have worked on a lot of new tactics or techniques to remain calm in my brain, because man, your brain controls everything. Whatever happens in your mind is what your body responds to. So if you can control your mind, it is so much easier to do things. It's so much easier to learn about yourself and control your mind and go from there. So one of the things that I learned in therapy, or that we worked on in therapy, that helped me for labor was designing or creating a safe place. So along with some panic attacks that I've had, one of the things I've described during my panic attacks is that I feel like I'm there, but I'm not there, like my head's floating. And so we've worked on a safe place, and that safe place I'll give you a little bit of background or a little bit of insight. My safe place is the ocean. Something about the ocean has always made me feel calm and soothed. So this is so silly, but throughout my contractions, I envisioned riding a wave, like on, I don't even know if I thought of it as a surfer, because I used to ride like the waves like just with my body when I was little. But something about that and connecting it to my contractions, and my contractions just being a wave that had to happen and get through, was one of the ways that like I truly think I got through it. Other than that, I definitely talked to myself. I was telling myself to stay calm out loud, to the point that Austin was asking me, like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? And I was like, nothing, you know, I'm super irritable. I didn't think I was gonna get that irritable, but man, like there were multiple times that I just told him, babe, not right now. Like, not right now. This is not the time. I need to focus on riding the wave, not on hearing what you have to say. And God bless him. He did so well. So well. So as we're riding through the waves, there comes a point where Austin's so sick of going back and forth with this folder. There was like a paper folder and fanning me, because my fan ended up dying, which it made the heat so much worse, because, you know, I already was hot. Then I really cooled down to the point of being freezing with my fan, to then going to nothing. And, you know, Austin's just trying to sleep and prepare for this journey, and I'm feeling totally bad because he's way across the room and I can't move or do anything because of how fast these contractions are coming, because I swear they were coming not even every 2 minutes, but no one was like coming in to like check on me, which made me really anxious, because even though they hadn't given me the drugs to really make things happen and I was taking a long time, I was like, okay, well, what if this takes a complete different turn, and I need somebody here now. So no one was really coming in. And I eventually, when they did come in that last time, I think I had gone through like 3 different contractions where I had to pee, couldn't pee because I couldn't get to the bathroom in time, and I kept feeling like I was having a bowel movement, which I know is a common thing with labor. And I was just getting irritable, and I finally was like, hey, so about that epidural, can I think I said, I'm 100% sure I want that, like, right now. And she was like, okay, I will have someone sent over here. And as soon as I said that is when I started to actually feel anxious about labor, because I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot that the epidural is like a serious needle. You know, a lot of people have horrible experiences with it, and a lot of people swear by it and say that it was the best choice they ever made. But you know, the procedure is having to stay very still while they stick a needle in your spine multiple times. And you know, I'm thinking, I can't even sit still right now. You know, I'm rocking. Rocking was, I think actually rocking is like a soothing technique from your childhood brain. So I was rocking my legs back and forth and envisioning this wave that I'm surfing on. What a combination. So I'm doing all of this, and I was just like, how am I going to be able to stay calm for this epidural and not move? And I'm thinking it's going to be fast, and I'm still worried that like I'm going to move a little bit and something's going to happen. So she tells me, she was like, gets me in position, hanging off the bed kind of. I'm like sitting off the bed with my shoulders down or shoulders up. And she tells me, you know, when you're going to have a contraction, or when you feel like you're having a contraction, because they can tell, when you feel like you're going to have a contraction, let me know. And I'm thinking I'm letting her know so that they stop doing what they're doing so they don't injure me. No, she just wanted to know. She just wanted to know, to be able to be aware of that. So he starts doing the process, and now that I think about it, I'm kind of like cringing, because I tried to tell myself it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but imagining someone stick a needle in your spine just makes my stomach a little queasy. And I'm not a queasy person, but it just felt very weird, very weird. So he gives me the epidural, and I could not, oh my God, that was so horrible. One of the contractions, I just had my shoulder, Austin said I had my shoulders like so high up here, and he was like, you know, relax your shoulders hours, and I was like, I am relaxed, you know, I'm fine. And he was like, no, no, you're not. Take a deep breath and lower. And a contraction had finally stopped, and I was able to finish the epidural. So I take the epidural, and then they give me the pitocin. They decided to not do the second round of the medication that I was given previously. So instead of waiting the 6 or 7 hours before taking the pitocin, I was now a little bit ahead of time. They give me the pitocin, and again, I wasn't familiar that with the pitocin, what it does is literally you don't feel the contractions anymore. I thought it just sped up your labor and you felt the contractions more intensely. So when I stopped feeling contractions and I'm at ease, I'm kind of just like, oh, this is nice. Like, she was like, do you feel that contraction? And I was just like, what are you talking about? I feel my stomach like tightening, but I have no pain. So now that I have the epidural, I have the pitocin, and she checks to see if I'm dilated, and she tells me I'm dilated 4 centimeters now. And I was like, oh my God, like, we've been at 1 forever. Something's happening. Finally, we're getting the ball rolling. And okay, we just went from maybe it'll happen tomorrow to it'll probably happen tonight. Tonight, I will be holding my baby. Tonight, as in maybe 1 or 2 a.m., but tonight, my baby will be in my hands. I will not be pregnant anymore. These contractions will be over with. I will be recovering, and we will be a family. Those were my thoughts when she told me I was finally at 4 centimeters. So have the epidural, again, have the epidural, have the pitocin. Things are moving along. And here is where I'm going to pause for a second and just say that this may be triggering to some if you have maybe had any complications during your pregnancy or complications during your labor, or even have lost maybe your baby in the hospital during labor. My heart is with you so much. My heart is with you so much because this part of my labor was terrifying, and I tried to hold it down as much as I could, and I may look good on camera, and I don't remember being very emotional about it in the moment because I didn't have time, but I have cried to myself about this just because it was intense. This part of the story is about to get very intense. So basically, as we think we are progressing, she goes to check my vitals, and she realizes that baby's heart rate isn't popping up anymore on the monitor. And I haven't felt him kicking a little bit. He was very active even during my contractions. You could hear him echoing around. And I just wasn't, you know, with the pitocin and all these things going on, I hadn't been paying attention, so I didn't think anything of it. And, you know, she starts moving the band, like the heart monitor band, around a couple times, and she's just messing around with me. I'm not thinking anything of it. I just am thinking she lost him in there somewhere. And she kind of says, I guess he just doesn't like me. Your baby must not like me today. And I am an energy person, and something did not feel right. Something didn't feel right in my gut, and I knew that she was trying to seem calm when really I could like sense her freaking out energy. But be calm, you're a nurse, and this person needs to be calm, so don't say anything the wrong way. And she whispers, she says lower, I'm gonna go ahead and call your doctor and see where she is. And again, I'm not like processing what's going on yet. She hasn't told me what's going on. And she comes back in, and she gets him on the monitor one more time, and out of nowhere my doctor comes in and puts her gloves on, and, you know, makes a comment of like, of course around 5 o'clock rush hour is when your baby decides to do this. Like, they're just being jokingly and nice to me, but I could kind of tell that something was going on, and I just hadn't gotten answers yet, and I wasn't really aware of like what was going on. I just had that feeling of like something's wrong. And so again, they keep messing with me a little bit, and out of nowhere, oh my gosh, out of nowhere, about 8 or 9 nurses come rushing in to the room, and they tell me to go on all fours, and I'm butt-ass naked. You know, the gown is open in the back, but I'm butt-ass naked, all fours, and my IV rips out of my hand from like moving too fast and just getting caught. So my IV is out. I'm gushing blood on the pillow. They're moving me and touching me all over, trying to find his heart rate, and not communicating a whole lot, but communicating more medically termed, which I know a little bit, but not a whole lot. And at that point, everything just centers down to me closing my eyes and just letting fucking shit happen, and just letting it happen, trusting these nurses, trusting these doctors. And now that I think about it, I didn't even like process where Austin was at the time, because I was just like, I need to focus on me. I need to stay calm. Me staying calm may depend on this baby's life, and by the way they were just reacting. So I get on all fours, and next thing you know, they have put a catheter in me, and now they have a baby monitor inside of me, which neither of them can I feel when they're actually doing because of the epidural. But I sense this like pleasure of not having to pee anymore. And jokingly, you know, while I'm trying to stay calm, I made the comment and I was like, wait, am I peeing? Like, what's going on? And they were like, yeah, like you have a catheter in there. It's just, that's how it is. Your bladder just empties out. You don't have like the brain monitoring of like, oh, I have to pee. I need to go to the bathroom. So I have the catheter in me, I have a new IV inside, and they're still kind of mumbling and talking and moving things around, and it's not horrible, but you can kind of tell like this is serious. This is clearly, I have a catheter inside of me, and I have a baby monitor inside of my vagina instead of on top of my stomach, because they can't find his heart rate. And at that point I started to pray, and I was just, you know, like, hang on, man, just hang on in there. I really didn't want to cry on camera. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I've let that wave pass. Now everything is a wave to me. You know, obviously we know baby's healthy and he's here now, but getting him here was a lot more intense than I thought it was gonna be. I wonder if I'm gonna be a crybaby for this of the video. Okay, so they put the monitor inside of me, and at that point I can kind of hear them start to mumble, have you checked the cord? Have you checked the cord? And I'm like, oh shit, like his umbilical cord is wrapped around him. Oh my god. I really don't want to cry because I'm tired of losing lashes. Like, if we're being honest, I'm a crier. I love to cry, but like, they're looking a little crazy and I'm supposed to get them done tomorrow. Just girl things. But I'm trying to hold it together. I've cried plenty about this. But if you are crying, my heart is with you. I appreciate you caring or feeling the emotion I'm feeling, because wow, this was emotional as hell. So they're talking about the cord, and my doctor keeps starting to say, let's get it together, and if we can't, we're taking her to the back. Let's get it together, and if not, we're taking her to the back. And I was processing, I'm about to have a C-section, like this, something's going on, and they need him out right now. Right now, or he might not be here. I'm a mess. I'm so sorry. So I want him here in my hands, but I feel like if I woke him up and brought him in here, I would cry even more. So needless to say, things weren't helping, or things weren't progressing, and she immediately said, you know what, we're not, you know, they tried to explain to me, baby has reserves. Baby's heart rate is going from 140 to 60 beats per minute consistently. We get it stabilized, then he stops. We get it stabilized, then he stops. And mind you, my entire pregnancy, he was 145, between 143 147, but 145 was his heart rate from itty bitty tiny to all the way up to my last appointment. So even hearing 140, even though it's not that far off, I was like, oh my god, even that's low. Like, that's not his normal, and something's going on. And so she makes the executive decision, and she says, okay, we're going to the back. And next thing you know, I look at Austin across the room, and I was fucking terrified for him too. I didn't know. I didn't know what was going through his head, or what it looked like to be witnessing me go through all of this. and now have to have an emergency C-section where he didn't even know that that's what they were talking about. He just wasn't processing at the time that they were gonna go have to do that. And now this labor wasn't a normal labor story, quote unquote. Not any labor is normal. I feel like we all have our own, you know, everybody has their own birth story. But so yeah, they get everything out, you know, all the nurses are working on different things. Next thing you know, I'm taking out all my piercings. I still don't even have my nose ring in. You know, she's like, oh, we need to take out all these piercings, we need to wipe you down with these wipes everywhere, and just things are just going on, things are happening, and I don't even know how to prepare for a C-section. I'm just like, okay, well, I don't feel it, he's just gonna come out and he's gonna be on my chest and we'll go from there. Like, oh shit, and now I have to deal with the recovery of a C-section, but like, I don't even fucking care at this point. I just want my baby, and I want my baby right now. And so they, at that point on, this becomes a TV show to me. This becomes House. This becomes any medical show, any ER show. You know, I'm suddenly being pushed down the hallway with 5 or 6 nurses all next to me. I don't know what to think. I just keep holding my stomach and telling him to hang on. Just telling him to hang on and be strong. And next thing you know, they push through the door and the bright lights are all there, and you can hear everyone grabbing their utensils and rushing and getting together, just like in any TV show that you would see any surgery about to happen. And maybe I messed up by watching all of those shows, but I really like those shows until it's now happened to me and I've seen or been on the other side kind of thing. So they get me onto the bed, and you know, I don't know where Austin is. They left him back in the room. And one of my biggest things was like, our promise was that he would be there with me through it all the way to the end. He would be there. So I'm just like, what the hell is happening? Like, this is not what I expected at all. Even without a birth plan, this is not what I expected at all. Like, not necessarily the worst is happening, but like, this is a complete different journey. And I don't know how or what's gonna come out of this. I know that people, this is a risk. This is a big risk. This is a big risk for the baby. This is a risk for me. And Austin is nowhere to be found, and I don't know what's going on in his head. So, next thing you know, I'm trying to get it together. I promise, guys, this is just so emotional for me. So I finally get on they put me from one table to the other, and I can't really feel my legs at this point because of the epidural. So they're like, three or four people are trying to move me over. I'm going from a large comfy bed to this tiny bed that I couldn't even put my arms on, you know, wide back problems. And everything is happening so fast. Like, I'm telling you, Austin said I was in there for about maybe 15 minutes. So they get me on the table. I feel them put the sheet up, you know, and I keep telling myself, he's gonna be on my chest, he's gonna be on my chest. Everybody that I've seen has a C-section that's on Instagram or something, they always have their baby on the chest when they're, you know, going through the C-section or just finished it or whatever. So he'll be here, he's gonna be here soon. And this is out of nowhere. I literally, this is so traumatic to me. Like, I was telling my therapist today that I definitely have covered this up because I haven't revisited it lately, and it feels very heavy, but I'm gonna talk about it. They sliced me open, and not only did they slice me open, but the drugs they had given me had not kicked in. And I'm like sneezing everywhere, snotting everywhere. They had not kicked in, and I felt everything. I have never screamed like that in pain in my entire life. I was immediately held down, pinned down from my ankles all the way to my arms with the nurses, and all I hear my doctor say is, I know this hurts, I'm so sorry, but we have to get him out of here. We have to do this right now, right now. And I just remember how, like, I was hyperventilating. I had 2 nurses next to me, one on each side, and I gripped the crap out of their legs because they're up high and I'm like down low, you know? And I was losing it. I just remember it being bright out and everything felt painful. And out of nowhere, I felt this humongous weight lifted out of me, and twice, once plopped somewhere on my body, twice plopped somewhere on my body. And this nurse is rubbing my head and another nurse is telling me it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. And I hear his cry, and that's when the drugs hit, ironically, you know. I had to take another moment, but so I hear his cry for the first time, and at the same time that I hear his cry, everything goes silent. And I don't know what happens. I kind of tuned out. So I don't really experience what's really going on after that. I just know that I'm asking for Austin constantly, and now that I've heard his cry, he said that I repeated so many times, can you see him? Are you seeing him? What does he look like? Can you see him? And I just kept asking him that. And after that, I feel like I can talk about this part more because now I'm drugged up and I don't remember a whole lot. I just remember bits and pieces. But after that, I had one nurse that I was looking over to, and I knew I was drugged up by then because he had 4 eyes. Like, he full on, it looks like something off of Monsters Inc. is how I could explain it. But he had four eyes, and I told him, I remember telling him, haha, like, you have 4 eyes. Embarrassing, Maddie, embarrassing. So, and I remember Austin bringing baby over and us taking a picture. I just remember smiling. I don't even remember who took the picture. I thought Austin had maybe his hand like this, and I just remember seeing this white baby. And one of the jokes between us was like, how dark is he gonna come out? Is he gonna come out completely looking like me, or is he gonna have a tan, or is he gonna be super red, like, you know? So when I see this white baby, I at that point everything was happy to me. But I remember seeing him and getting that sense of relief of like, okay, he's here. So after they're doing that, you know, during that process is when the drugs have kicked in, and that's when they're sewing me up. So they're sewing me up, and his cry is after I've already had the meds. Like, it would have been really nice to have had the meds when they cut me open. Like, when I tell you, I literally felt like meat being chopped open. Like, oh my God, I would not wish that on anyone. That was so intense. I felt like I was on Criminal Minds and someone was doing some really weird crap to me somewhere in the woods or something. That's how it really felt. So we get back to the room. We're rolled into the room now, and things are a little blurry at this point. You know, I'm on this high. I just remember I was shivering so much, and I did not know that that was a come down of just the drugs and stuff. So I'm shivering like crazy, and we get into the room, and I see them evaluating baby, and I see Austin right there doing his thing right next to him, being such a great dad. And I'm gonna get emotional again, being such a great dad. And I was just being taken care of in the room, and out of nowhere, you know, they finally bring him over to me, and I do get my skin to skin time, and he is able to latch immediately onto my boob, which was exhilarating to me. Not that I pressured myself, but I was shaking uncontrollably, and I was just like, oh my God, like, you still want to be here, you still want to be with your mommy, like, I'm your mommy. And next thing you know, a lactation consultant is there, and she's just giving me this, she was kind of intense, but she's giving me this rundown on all the things. And you know, she's telling me how great I'm doing because he latched on the first time, and she was very intense. But I got so much information, drugged up at that point, and I'm like shivering the entire time. And next thing you know, the nurses tell me that baby has to go. And I just took a deep breath, and I was just like, okay, like, you guys have gotten this far, we're okay. Take him, do what you need to do for him to be healthy, and I'll see him when he's healthy. So they take him to the NICU for he had a rapid heartbeat. He was breathing really fast and his nostrils flared. And then the color, of course, of him, and they had to give him an oxygen mask because when he stopped crying, he had lost his breath, and they were able to get it back going with the oxygen mask. But like his newborn pictures, or when they took the pictures for us, poor thing, he's purple on the legs and so pale. And just looks so angry, like we just fucked up his world, and peacefulness in there. But yeah, they take him to the NICU, and the nurse came, and God, shout out to the NICU nurses. I feel like every time I hear about a NICU nurse, they are the sweetest people on this planet. And she comes over to me and she was like, don't worry, I know you're breastfeeding, you know, we'll figure it out. Recover, take this time to recover, and I'm gonna keep him safe, and and he's gonna be okay. And you know, I just got this such a genuine vibe from her, saying he was strong and that he was in good hands. And they took him away, and by then I really was just shivering so much from the aftershakes, and I couldn't feel my legs, which was a horrible feeling. I felt so heavy and I couldn't move at all, and they had the catheter inside of me still, and I just kind of was sitting there trying to like mentally calm myself down from what the fuck just happened. And I looked over at Austin, and we were just like, oh my God, like what just happened? And that's when he just starts telling me the story from his perspective, what's going on, and him being left. You know, he got left in the room because he wasn't sanitized at the time, and they had to come get him. And he tells me that when they did come get him, he walked into the room to me having my guts wide open, and her stuffing my guts back in, is literally how he said it, to the point where they actually kicked him back out 30 seconds later after he was able to see baby is alive. And my girlfriend is on the table with her guts out, but she seems to be alive. They kicked him back out, and so that was, of course, a different experience for him too than he probably expected. So he's telling me about that, and he's telling me just how everything went down, and how badass my doctor was for the way she did things. She delivered him in 6 minutes for that C-section. From the moment I went in there until the moment that they weighed him, he was a 6-minute delivery, and she was not playing around. Like, she at that point did not care about my pain. It did not matter. We were already here, and this is what we were doing, and he was gonna make it. And so he was telling me about that, and we just started to kind of live in the moment. And it was really weird because, like, of course I'm not doing skin to skin at the time. We don't really know if, you know, I don't know the condition of my baby. They're in NICU, they're saying he's gonna be okay, but I don't really know what happened because I wasn't really coherent. I knew I took pictures with him, I knew he had dark hair, and I knew he was white. He looked very white, very pale. But besides that, I was kind of out of it. And because I was so out of it from my experience and what I had to go through and the trauma that I went through with the pain, I just kind of, like, again, I rode the wave, and I just went along with what the nurses told me to do and what was going on, and them updating me on everything, and etc. I did see him get his shots done, and Austin said he barely even cried. He is the most calm baby, but the things that do piss him off really piss him off. So after the experience, or after that, they told us they were going to move me into the postpartum room, and I was like crossing my fingers that the postpartum room was going to be as nice as the delivery room, with like the bed for Austin, so that we could sort of be comfortable. And we move in there and still no baby, but the nurse I get is like an angel sent from heaven. I swear, her bedside manner is amazing. She's you know, she's gentle. I'm talking to her like I feel comfortable talking to her, etc. And you know, Austin and I hang out for a little longer, and we're kind of just like soaking things in just by talking about everything that happened, and him telling me everything he got to see from his perspective, you know, from a sober perspective. And the nurse comes in and tells us that he's doing pretty good, and that Austin can go see him because I can't move. My legs are still numb. That Austin could go see him in the NICU whenever he wanted to at that point. And I was like, just please FaceTime me. Please FaceTime me and tell me what's going on. So he goes over there before he leaves to get some food, and he FaceTimes me, and he's okay, and he's happy, and he's sleeping, and he looks so much better than the pictures that I saw of how he looked when he first came out. And I sat there and I was just like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? What the fuck just happened? He's okay. I don't even care anymore what just happened. I just want to hold him and meet him and bond with him now. And I was kind of jealous that Austin got to go and spend time with him, but at the same time I was so happy that he got to have his alone time with him, even after experiencing what he did from his perspective. So I was really happy that he got that son to father moment, however he needed to have it, and express it in his own way with him. And so I was excited to hear how it was when he came back. And when he came back, he just showed me the video, and we were talking and goofing around about how he looked and everything that went on, etc. And around 1 a.m. they came rolling him in there, and I had the biggest smile on my face. I've never seen or experienced so much happiness in one little moment of this little hallway of them rolling him down into the room with me. And I immediately got to do skin to skin again, and he was just cooing and making all these funny faces. He's not really a smiler, but he makes the most funny angry faces. He's like a grumpy old man. So I got to hold him and spend time with him, and from that time, from the moment that night up until the next morning, I did not sleep at all. I could not sleep at all. I wanted to stare at him constantly. B, I was taking so many pictures because, oh my God, I just had a baby and I need to get every single moment I can, and there's so many things he's doing already. You know, he was already opening his eyes and being so alert. And even the nurses were talking about it, so I was just trying to get every single memory I possibly could. And I was starving, and my nurse finally gave me, she went and got like some sample graham crackers and stuff, because, you know, I could only eat ice chips after the epidural situation for a while, until like my stomach settled. So I had some ice chips and a popsicle, and I can't remember something else, but it was something weird, and some saltines. That's what I got to eat as my first meal while my boyfriend smashed some Wingstop. So yeah, that's basically my birth story as far as my real intense part of my birth. But we ended up staying for 2 days, 48 hours, and over that time, while I ate graham crackers, saltines, ice chips, and water, Austin got to have Wingstop, and we just kind of chilled for the rest of the night, and I just soaked up as much of baby as I possibly could. Every time he wanted to breastfeed, I was so excited about it because he'd been latching. Every time he made a noise, I was on it, so excited about it. I was taking pictures. I called my mom, told her the whole story, called my dad, told him the whole story, and was just on cloud 9. I have been on cloud 9 since that night. Since that night, I have not truly slept, and it's not even because I have a fussy baby. It's because I don't want to miss any second, and I want to spend every single second I can with him and just watch him. And I'm just so grateful he made it here. I really am so grateful. It really did get pretty scary at one point, and I'm really proud of myself for holding it down and staying calm, but I was losing my shit inside. And I don't know how, you know, Austin will never really tell me, you know, how it really felt to be on that side, to see someone you care about not only in pain but struggling to deliver your son, and it not being anything you can do. I can only imagine. I'm way more emotional than him, but it was really intense, and I'm very grateful for a very healthy baby. You know, he just went to the pediatrician yesterday, and I was just a little scared just because, you know, it wasn't a perfect baby. Going home, he did have a little bit of issues here and there. You know, he had jaundice, and they had to give him phototherapy, and that's a whole other story. But, you know, I know jaundice is common, but it was just an experience, you know, having him under the incubator and him not liking it and freaking out and being cold, etc. So just having him here in our arms and being able to just experience life with him now has made me, I thought I was grateful before, but man, like every single night of my pregnancy that I told him, I'm so excited to meet you. I'm so excited to bond with you. I can't wait for you to be here. I'm so happy you chose me to be your mommy. Like, all of these things were so real now, and they've been so real, and I've just been on this I've been on such a happy high, and I have kind of showed off a little bit to you guys because I can't help it. I really can't help it, you know, but I really did want to take some time to just enjoy it for me and take pictures and post later on. Just take all the pictures I could right now and put my phone down. Just take the picture, put my phone down, enjoy the moment. And I really need to actually I have so many pictures taken over the past, what, 6 days that I need to put together for stuff. But stay tuned. I have so much to share of him. I have so many ideas. I just want to build this new relationship with him, and I do want to do it on YouTube. So I really do hope I keep going on this journey. If you like this video, if you enjoyed this video, if you cried on this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment below any experiences you had that were similar, anything you had different, anything you want, really. I just want to share my stories and have you guys listen to them and just interact with each other. So I really, really, really appreciate you being here, even if you had to watch me ugly cry, and just listening to my story of how little man is here now and he's safe, and I have him on my side, and I could not be happier. I honestly could not be happier. I'm so happy to be a mom, and I've wanted this for so damn long. And it's so real. It's so, you know, it's everything I expected and more. It really is. So, what time is it? It is now 1:35, and I haven't seen my baby in a while. I haven't heard him cry, which I'm assuming Dad's doing his part. But I'm gonna go enjoy the night with him. I'm in my emotions so much right now that I just want to go stare at him and kiss on him and tell him how much I love him. So thank you guys for watching.